Okay, let's get right into it. Today, for avid movie fans channel, for TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and probably other stuff by now, I'm going to be discussing for a double feature, Black Christmas, the original from 1974, if I'm not mistaken, and then the remake that was done 2005, I believe. Let's go right into the original. There's not a lot to say about this film, but I did write down a couple of notes so that I'm not uh, going off on tangents like I tend to do. Okay, so this film is about a bunch of sorority sisters living in a sorority, and it's Christmas, and they're getting creepy phone calls. Um, One by one, for some reason, they're killed off. It's not really fully explained why this happens. I was very happy to see that Margot Kidder was in it. I love to see her in everything, even if she was a very unlikable character for once, playing a foul-mouthed, alcoholic sorority chick who is a little too old to be a sorority chick. Um, and then Olivia Hussey, I believe was her name. She was the final girl. Yeah, Olivia Hussey. I was right. She was the final girl in this film. Not a great choice. Other movies that I've seen her in that she did better in was the 1964, I believe, Romeo and Juliet film. And then she was also in Psycho 4, playing Norma Bates in the flashback scenes. She was did a great job, even better than the one from the Bates Motel TV series. Let's see here. What else? The creepiest aspect of the film. Yeah, of course. The creepiest aspect of the film is the obscene phone calls. They were disconcerting. They were bizarre. Um, they seemed painful. I don't know if the actual weepy voiced killer came before this. Actually, that might have been 80s, but it definitely read like that character for a little bit. The film was very slow paced. I've got to be honest with you. The film was slow paced, and it seemed to have more quirky comedy aspects to it than it actually did like horror films. Very little gore, which some people might like. Not me. If I'm gonna see a slasher horror film, I kind of I don't want to go into slasher porn territory. I'm not like sadistic, but I also don't want to have everything happen off screen. Let's see what else. It was a rather boring Christmas movie about alcoholics and unlikable characters that happen to have a creepy stalker killer vibe that kind of peppered throughout the film. Um, you do get a sense that most of the characters were like uh, delinquents and debaucherous, which is my kind of people. And then you've got like the couple of characters who are pure. Nobody's safe in this film, either way. And then also it treated alcoholism as a funny concept, which happens a lot in films. And I kept asking myself, is it a comedy? Is it a horror film? I didn't care about any of the characters who got killed off, even the two actresses that I mentioned. I didn't care if they got killed off in the film because I didn't like anybody in the film. What else? Did I miss anything? For 1974, there we go. Yes, this is a good note to end on before I go into the next one. For 1974, it must have been a rather shocking film, especially released around Christmas time. It does not hold up to today's standards. The phone call was probably the most creepiest aspect of the whole film. And this film, which does not do what the remake, which we'll get into in a second, did, this film didn't have enough of a backstory, didn't have really any backstory. The story, the plot line was too vague to be a good story. This one was to be like a coherent story, I should say. It was far too vague. You're like, okay, it just seems like a random bunch of occurrences happening throughout the film, and they're only tied to this one sorority house. So I'm going to give this one a thumbs down right off the bat. This is the one out of the two. This is the one that I had seen before, and I don't remember liking it before, but I also don't remember disliking it as much as I did this time. Maybe my taste in film has gotten a little bit more picky or whatever. Okay, so let's go right into the next one, the remake. I believe this was 2004. This one at least gets right into it. The original one kind of dragged on for a while, and you're just like, you forget for a while that it is supposed to be a horror film, the original one. This one gets right into it. Already right off the bat, I wrote down here in my notes, already more of a backstory, or at least, this one has a backstory. And then about 2 minutes into the backstory, I wrote down in my little notes here, too much of a backstory. A lot more actresses from this film than I did from the 70s one. Like Katie Cassidy, who is in were they trying to make her a scream queen? Because this was her first remake that I'm aware of, and then 3 or 4 years later, she did the remake, the really, really terrible remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Were they trying to make her a scream queen at some point? Same with Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I thought I recognized her. She's been in a couple things. She's been in the remake of The Thing from 2011. She's been in a bunch of stuff, and there was a lot of Lacey Chabert was in there from Mean Girls, and she was the original Meg from Family Guy and Party of Five, and I could go off on her whole list of things, but I'm not going to. What else? There's a lot of famous people in here, and for a lot of rather famous people, this film, the acting in this film was cartoonish and awful. At least some of the characters were a little bit more likable in this one, but not much. And then I asked early on, it does come back later, I asked early on, are we doing away with the best part of the original film, which was the creepy phone calls? They come back in later, but they're not nearly as creepy and not as many of them. This film was much more gorier, which I liked, but some of the kills were unrealistic. We're talking like original Scream, Tatum getting killed in the garage door, like unrealistic. Like that would never happen. The garage door would have broken long before Tatum was killed in it. But so like they were that kind of kills. But whatever. I was happy to see that it was a little bit more visually interesting than everything happening off screen. They got rid of, thankfully, from the first one. There was a confusing plot line that happened in the first one that you don't see it. It happens off screen, and it's discovered sort of on screen, sort of off screen. Like the the woman who sees it, she sees it, she's looking offside the camera. You never see what she's looking at, but there's a death of a little girl. I'm glad they got rid of that plot line. That was just confusing and kind of came out of left field. What else? Okay, my question was, were there two killers? Because in the beginning, and I don't want to give away too much, but in the beginning, Billy had yet to escape from the insane asylum, and the sorority girls were already getting killed off before he escaped. So that was, I'm like, are we shooting this out of order? Is this a Quentin Tarantino? We're going to get around to, because also I put in here that some of the flashbacks kind of seemed jarring. Like you were getting flashbacks of Billy and later his sister growing up, and I'm like, whose flashbacks are these? Because Billy and whoever his sister is, they're not in the main part of the story right now. So it just seems jarring, and I'm like, normally the flashbacks tell a narrative. This one just seemed out of place. Let's see what else here. I did like the rather cynical rant about Christmas rituals, Christian Christmas rituals, stealing from pagan idea. I was like, that was fine. I love that. And then also, big question, it's never really explained, is Billy suffering from the worst case of jaundice I have ever seen? Why is he yellow? They never explain that, but he's consistently yellow. At first, I thought maybe it's just bad lighting and he always appears yellow, but no. He's, for some reason, yellow. I don't know if that was like an inbreeding thing, because they did mention that he might have been inbred, or the daughter was. You watch it, you let me know. Maybe I missed something. And then I put in here, okay, wait, is this a remake of Black Christmas or People Under the Stairs? Because there's a lot of weird, like, characters walking through the walls, in hidden little passageways, and I'm like, And then also, I believe there's another remake of a couple other things that it did. It stole a lot of stuff from other films. Like even at the end, I'm like, okay, wait, is Billy now Michael Myers because he gets out of the morgue at one point and starts going after people again? I'm like, okay, is anything in this film original, or are we just like stealing everything from every other movie that's been done before? So nothing was original. Let's see here. I wish Margot Kidder would have returned. I mean, she was still going. She hadn't passed yet. Unfortunately, and I remember Margot Kidder had been in a horror remake. Unfortunately, I looked it up, and it was that really the Halloween 2 remake by Rob Zombie that I pretend doesn't exist. She decided to do that one instead. Acting is cartoonish. I said that already. Is Black Christmas a black comedy? Because it's not scary, it's not funny, it's not either, but it's trying to be both. So it never really found its footing as to what it was trying to be. And then also I put in here something that really annoyed the hell out of me is that the first one, as I mentioned earlier, was too vague to follow a plot line. This one was too convoluted to follow a plot line. It was all over the place, and I was just like, okay, they're just throwing in random elements and everything's getting thrown in together in some sort of blender, and it came out just one disgusting mess. Let's see. And then when I was looking up to see if I was right about Mary Elizabeth Winstead, if that was her that I was seeing, I was disheartened to find out that there's yet a third remake of this film from 2019 with Imogen Poots, and I wasn't going to put myself through that because our first triple feature will be a joint review with me and Gabe watching 3 Christmas Carol versions, and so that won't. Maybe closer to Christmas, I will torture myself and watch the third Black Christmas. Imogen Poots, her movies are hit and miss anyway. And I don't really recognize anyone else from the cast list. And that will be strike 3 if they ever make another Black Christmas. I refuse to see it because already we're striking out. with both of them, because this one, the remake, also gets a huge thumbs down from me. Did you see either of these films? Did you like it? I know the critics liked the original Black Christmas more and gave it like on IMDb, it's like a 7.1, and the remake got a like 4.6. I would have been I would have first I would reverse those, because even though the remake was not great, it was better, in my opinion, than the original one. So what did you guys think? What would you have rated them? A thumbs up, thumbs down? Gabe and I don't really do the number score, because that gets too difficult to explain why we're doing it. It's just simple thumbs up, thumbs down. Both of these got thumbs down from me. And then I need to do like a palate cleanser to watch better films for a little bit, and then maybe I'll check out the third one right before Christmas, and I'll post that at some point. Tomorrow, Gabe and I will be filming the triple review. I've already watched all of them. I believe Gabe has as well. So we'll be doing that triple feature and filming it tomorrow, which will be hopefully up next week. I hope you guys are having a great week, and we're headed into the weekend now, so I hope you're enjoying the weekend. And make sure that you like, comment, share, subscribe, all those things. It really helps out the channel. All right, well, see you in the next review.